Microsoft just cut 4,800 jobs. 4 days earlier, it committed 6,000 engineers to work inside customer companies. That is not a contradiction. It may be Microsoft's most important AI strategy yet. Wall Street is watching Microsoft's $190 billion AI infrastructure bill, Azure growth, and Copilot sales. But those numbers miss the bottleneck. Enterprises do not lack access to AI models. They lack a reliable way to connect those models to private data, legacy software, permissions, and actual decisions. Microsoft is now spending $2.5 billion to attack that problem with people. The new organization is called Microsoft Frontier Company. Microsoft says it will embed 6,000 industry and engineering experts directly with customers. That sounds like consulting. It also sounds a lot like the forward-deployed model that helped make Palantir valuable. The investment question is whether Microsoft can turn that labor-intensive model into a distribution engine for Azure, Copilot, and enterprise agents. On July 2nd, Microsoft announced Microsoft Frontier Company. The company committed $2.5 billion and said 6,000 industry and engineering experts would work alongside customers to design, deploy, and continuously improve AI systems. 4 days later, Microsoft announced roughly 4,800 job cuts, about 2.1% of its global workforce, concentrated mainly in its commercial and Xbox organizations. Microsoft explicitly said those jobs were not being replaced by AI. It also said it had redeployed more than 4,000 employees into new roles over the previous year. So, the honest interpretation is not 4,800 people out and 6,000 new people in. The 6,000 are not described as new hires. This is a reallocation of organizational weight, away from mature structures and toward engineers who can make AI work inside customer operations. A company can buy Copilot seats, open an Azure account, and test several frontier models in one afternoon. Production is harder. The model needs access to the right data, but not the wrong data. It needs to follow permissions, survive audits, connect to old software, and produce an outcome someone can measure. A hospital cannot deploy an agent that occasionally invents a patient record. A bank cannot let a model bypass approval controls. A manufacturer cannot rebuild its entire data estate for one AI pilot. This is where enterprise projects stall. The technical demo works, but the workflow does not. Microsoft is buying the human layer required to close that gap. Palantir popularized the forward-deployed engineer. Technical teams work beside the customer, solve a high-value operational problem, and feed what they learn back into the product. OpenAI is building a similar capability. Microsoft now says its new organization goes beyond traditional forward-deployed engineering and will be the largest outcome-driven engineering organization in the industry. The difference is distribution. Microsoft already sits inside corporate identity, email, documents, security, developer tools, databases, and cloud infrastructure. In its latest quarter, Azure revenue grew 40% and paid Microsoft 365 Copilot seats past 20 million. A frontier engineer does not enter an empty account. The engineer enters a customer already surrounded by Microsoft products. Microsoft's infrastructure numbers are enormous. Fiscal third quarter revenue reached $82.9 billion, up 18%. Its AI business surpassed a $37 billion annual revenue run rate, growing 123%. Capital expenditure was $31.9 billion in the quarter, and management expects roughly $190 billion for calendar 2026. Demand still exceeds available capacity. But more capacity does not automatically create more useful AI. Someone still has to convert GPUs, models, and data centers into recurring customer workloads. Frontier Company's $2.5 billion investment equals only about 1.3% of that planned annual capital expenditure. If those engineers make the other 98.7% produce more Azure consumption, the human layer could have extraordinary leverage. This is not attractive because Microsoft can bill consulting hours. It is attractive because one successful deployment can pull multiple recurring products behind it. An agent may require Azure Compute, Fabric Data Tools, Entra Identity, Microsoft Security, GitHub, and additional Copilot seats. The engineer solves one customer problem, but Microsoft monetizes the entire stack. That also raises switching costs. Replacing a language model is relatively easy when several models are available through the same platform. Replacing the data connections, governance rules, workflows, and operational knowledge built around that model is much harder. Microsoft is even promising model choice across OpenAI, Anthropic, Microsoft models, open source, and specialized systems. The moat is not owning the smartest model every month. It is owning the environment where enterprises make models useful. The bull case is that Microsoft industrializes a service that smaller AI companies cannot deliver at comparable scale. 6,000 specialists create thousands of feedback loops between real customer problems and Microsoft's products. Repeated solutions become templates, tools, and platform features. Customers get measurable outcomes instead of another pilot. Microsoft gets cloud consumption, software expansion, and proprietary knowledge about how AI is actually deployed. In this version, Frontier Company is not a consultancy. It is a customer acquisition and product development machine attached to one of the world's largest software platforms. The bear case starts with economics. People do not scale like software. Custom deployments can become slow, expensive, and difficult to repeat. Microsoft Cloud gross margin has already fallen from 69% to 66% year over year as AI infrastructure and usage costs rise. A large services layer could add more pressure. There is also channel conflict. Microsoft says it will work with Accenture, Capgemini, EY, KPMG, PwC, and other partners, but embedding its own engineers puts Microsoft closer to work those firms traditionally sell. And Microsoft is not alone. Palantir, OpenAI, Anthropic, cloud rivals, and consulting firms all want to own the same implementation layer. If every engagement remains custom, Microsoft may build an expensive consulting business instead of a scalable software moat. Microsoft reports fiscal fourth quarter results on July 29th. Frontier Company will be too new to judge by revenue, so watch the surrounding evidence. Does Azure growth accelerate as new capacity comes online? Do Copilot seats keep expanding into real usage? Does cloud gross margin stabilize? And does management explain how embedded engineering converts into recurring consumption rather than one-time service work? The number of engineers is not the KPI. The KPI is how much durable platform revenue appears after those engineers leave the room. Microsoft is not simply replacing 4,800 workers with 6,000 AI specialists. It is moving closer to the customer at the exact moment AI makes implementation more valuable than access to a model. If the strategy works, Microsoft will have built the largest enterprise AI distribution moat in the market. If it fails, it will have added an expensive human layer on top of a $190 billion infrastructure bill. Is Microsoft building the world's most powerful AI platform or the world's largest AI consultancy? Tell me which side you see and subscribe for the next company breakdown.